Hey guys, Vazzy back here, and in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different on the channel here and doing our first Hockey Ultimate Team Discard Challenge. And this challenge is going to be centered around Wrestlemania 40 predictions. So if you guys aren't wrestling fans, that is totally alright, but I've seen a decent amount of crossover between people who like the NHL games and, you know, WWE and all that stuff. So I was like, hey, why not? I'm a pretty big wrestling fan myself, so let's go and make some predictions. And for each night, if I get more than 50% of the predictions right, I will get to keep one of the Team of the Season packs here shown on screen. I have one for the first week of Team of the Season and one for the second week of Team of the Season that is currently out. Could be anyone in these packs, could be a guy like Kucherov, really want to add him to my all Tampa Bay Lightning team, but who knows. I have to get more than 50% of the predictions right on each night to be able to keep the pack. If I do get 50% right on, I unfortunately do have to discard the pack. And just before we get into the predictions, I am recording this here on Thursday, so if there's any matches that are not a part of this video regarding predictions wise, I'm just not counting them at all. I'm not doing any updates to this, so it's whatever is on the card as I am currently recording. With that being said, let's get into the predictions for WrestleMania 40. So the first match we're going to be talking about here today is Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. I do also want to say some of these matches I'm going to have more to go into. Some of them I don't really have too much to say. More or less like this one here. I don't really see any way that Rhea loses this match. I don't think that's really the smart play here for WWE. I love Becky, she's awesome, but it just doesn't really feel like it's her time at the moment, if that makes really any sense. So, first prediction is going for Rhea Ripley to retain her title. The second match here on night one is the 6-way tag team ladder match here. So, I have a little bit more to say about this one. It does have both sets of titles on the line, but I think we're going to end up seeing the title split here. That's more or less what everyone's saying, and it really does make sense just regarding how they have been held together by the Judgment Day, the Usos, all this stuff. It's time to separate them. It's been enough time for sure. So I think for sure the Awesome Truth are going to be getting the Raw Tag Team titles. But then when you go over to the SmackDown side of things, who do I see winning those? It's tough. I think I'm going to go Waller in theory. So those are going to be my two predictions for the tag titles. I'm going to do the tags basically. If I get both of these teams right, I get half a point for each one. So getting both of them right will give me 1 point here total. But moving from the tag team title match to the brother versus brother match here at WrestleMania between Jay and Jimmy Uso, I more or less see Jimmy winning this match. I don't think it really makes much sense just storyline wise having Jay win. I think, honestly, you could see a guy like Tama Tonga maybe debut. It's rumored that he is heading to WWE here very shortly. So I think he probably goes and helps Jimmy win, sets up a rematch. Maybe you drag this out to SummerSlam, maybe a little bit longer, whatever. You can do a rematch, Jay can get his win. And then obviously down the road, you have both the Usos come back together and form the amazing tag team that they currently are. So I am going for Jimmy Uso to win the brother versus brother match. The next match on the card is the Intercontinental Champion Gunther versus Sami Zayn. So honestly, this is probably the match that, for me at least, is the one that I'm really not as excited for out of this whole card. That, maybe AJ Styles and LA Knight, I don't know. But I think it's pretty clear that Gunther is going to end up retaining his title here. Obviously the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. I know a lot of people are saying this, but I had the same thoughts. I don't really know why it's not Chad Gable, or at least make it a triple threat. That would have made it a little bit more exciting. So I think probably down the road, maybe at the Bash in Berlin, you have Ilya Dragunov come up and take the title from Gunther. I think he's going to be dropping it soon, but I don't think it's going to be at WrestleMania 40. Moving from the Intercontinental title match to the match featuring Jade Cargill, Naomi, Bianca Belair versus Damage Control. I think honestly this is the most predictable match. There's no shot that Jade Cargill, coming in from AEW, being a huge star, has been hyped up for months and months and months now. No way she's losing her debut here. Also, Bianca is undefeated at WrestleMania. just no reason really for her to lose to Damage Control here, so this is probably the match I really have the least to say about, because it seems like it's the most predictable on the card. So I'm going with the babyface team here, featuring Jade Cargill to get the win. And then the last match here before the main event of night 1, we have Rey and Dragon Lee versus Santos, Escobar, and Dominic Mysterio. This one here I think is, again, it's pretty much a set deal of who's going to win. I am going with the heel team of Santos and Dominic. Obviously we saw last year at WrestleMania 39, Rey beating Dominic, obviously father and son. So if Dominic wins here, you really have the series between them really set at 1-1 apiece. I think next year at WrestleMania 41, wherever that may be, I think you probably do it for the final match between the two, a huge blow-off, where, who knows, I guess it'll be predictions down the road, but it doesn't really make too much sense for the babyface team here to win. Who knows, maybe if Carlito get involved. I heard that Rey kind of snubbed him for his choice, so I am going with Santos and Dominic for the win here. And now on to the main event of night 1, the huge tag team match featuring Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes versus The Rock and Roman Reigns. So obviously the stipulation is if Rock and Roman win, it is bloodline rules for the follow-up main event between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. I don't think, again, there's really any way that The Rock loses in his return after, 10 years now? And really just to make the story more difficult for Cody going into night 2, I don't think there's any way they end up winning. Does Cody get pinned? That's the question. I actually could see it. Just, again, it's all about making his story tougher, giving him more adversity on the way to hopefully winning the WWE Universal Championship here. So I am going to go with The Rock and Roman Reigns winning. And then when you get into night 2, there's going to be some very interesting stuff regarding that main event, but we will get into that shortly. So moving on to night 2, WrestleMania Sunday, we have Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament and Karrion Kross here. Again, I don't really know why this is on the card. I haven't really been following the product too much here recently, so I didn't really know what was going on between these two teams. I think just going off face value, I'm gonna go with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I don't know, Karrion just hasn't really worked in WWE in his 2 runs. Obviously the first one was just horrible, but even the second one here since Triple H brought him back just hasn't really worked out. I really like him, but for whatever reason he's just not connecting with the crowd, and I'm not really too sure. But for this prediction, I'm going with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits to win. Next up, we have LA Knight versus AJ Styles. For me, I really wanted to see LA Knight in the US title match versus Logan Paul. I think that would have been really good to see. Unfortunately, it isn't the case here at this year's Mania, and really I'm not too excited for this match, if I'm being totally honest. I don't know, it kind of just feels like a B pay-per-view kind of level match. I think I'm going to go with LA Knight though. He has had just an incredible year. AJ is always a guy who can take a loss and just come back and it won't damage him at all, so my prediction here goes toward LA Knight. Moving from LA Knight versus AJ Styles over to the triple threat for the United States Championship between Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and champion Logan Paul. This one I honestly really think any one of these 3 guys could win, and it wouldn't be a huge surprise. This is one of the matches that is definitely, in my opinion, probably most unpredictable, at least going in, just from a viewer's kind of side of things. I think I'm gonna lead toward Logan Paul retaining. I think just the eyes that he gets on the product, obviously he has fans from everywhere, has a huge YouTube channel, and gets a lot more eyes on the WWE product. I think I'm gonna lean toward Logan Paul holding that belt for a little bit longer, and then like I said earlier, maybe you have Logan Paul, or LA Knight, take that belt off him at a later date. So again, this one really could go anyway, but I'm going with Logan Paul for the win. Up next, we have the Women's Championship match between Io Sky and Royal Rumble winner Bayley. Again, I think this one could really go either way as well. Io Sky really hasn't had the best reign, more or less, as Women's Champion. It's been alright, but it hasn't been really anything special in my opinion. The Bayley winning the Royal Rumble and really finally getting her big match here at WrestleMania, I think you probably give it to Bayley. I guess that's going to be my prediction here. Don't really have a really great reason about it, but it's a really good feel-good story, and they like to give us a lot of those when it comes to WrestleMania and WrestleMania season kind of things. So I am going to go for Bayley here, but again, it wouldn't really too shock me if Io Sky was to retain. Next, the second last match on the card, we have Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. This one again is very unpredictable on my mind. I think really you have to honestly give the title to McIntyre. Seth, really, I think just give him a break, have him come back in a couple months, let him heal up, whatever. It's always good to take a little bit of a break from these wrestlers. When they come back, it feels like a huge deal, all that kind of thing. I think that would be great for Seth. But then you have to factor in CM Punk being on commentary. You have to think he's going to be doing something. I know he's hurt at the moment, but still, I really don't think there's any way that he doesn't get involved, at least somehow. But then you also have to consider Damian Priest cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. And that's the part where I'm really struggling with this match. I don't think there's any way that Seth leaves with the title. It just doesn't come down to Priest or McIntyre. McIntyre, obviously, they said he hasn't signed an extension yet with WWE. I don't think that's really true. Having an event in Scotland in June or whatever it is when his contract's supposed to be up, he's going to be there. He's definitely re-signing at this point. Don't think there's any real controversy around me saying that. It just, does he go in with the belt or does he go in fighting for the belt? And that's where I'm kind of struggling. I'm gonna go with Drew McIntyre. I think it makes more of an impact of him walking into Scotland, where he's from, with the title rather than him challenging for it. Again, I could be wrong and this could go either way. It wouldn't really surprise me on the day of, but I am gonna go with Drew McIntyre winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And then Seth can go on a bit of a break from the company, and then who knows, maybe you have Drew and Punk, which obviously they've been teasing a ton over the summer when Punk is healthy. But now it is on to the main event featuring Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. So like I said earlier with my night one prediction, this would be a Bloodline rules match, so there's going to be a ton of interference. I have a feeling this is going to be very overbooked. I'm looking at this from an outside perspective. Obviously Solo, Jimmy, The Rock, they're all going to get involved for sure. Jey Uso, obviously on Cody's side, is going to get involved. But then who else is going to come and help Cody Rhodes? So on Raw, you saw they had a Bloodline rules match, and Cody and Seth were totally just overwhelmed, and they just got absolutely destroyed. So I think Cody's going to obviously have to get some other help. And there's been a lot of teases that it could be John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I really just don't want to predict against this. I'd rather get the prediction wrong and it not happen than me not predict it and it ends up happening. So I'm going to say that Stone Cold and John Cena, come in, provide some kind of distraction, or they can just clear off the bloodline, whatever it may be, allowing for it to be a one-on-one match really between Roman and Cody. I do think finally, after all these years, Cody does finish his story and then can move on and go to new challengers and create new storylines, all that kind of thing. Who knows, maybe even the rumor is that he's going to be facing The Rock at SummerSlam, which would be awesome. I would be all in for that. Who knows, that's something that could happen. And then who knows, I also heard maybe next year at Mania, Roman wins the Royal Rumble and it's kind of the opposite side of things, going after Cody's title. Again, who knows, but I don't think there's any way that Cody doesn't leave with the WWE Universal Undisputed Heavyweight Champion, whatever it's called nowadays. Keep adding names to the stupid title. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all goes down. Would it surprise me if Roman somehow ends up winning? No, it really wouldn't at this point. But I think the smart move is just give it to Cody and then, yeah, kind of run with it from there. But I do think that is going to do it for today's video regarding my Team of the Season Discard Challenge here with WrestleMania 40 predictions. Again, I know this is something different on the channel. It might not be for everyone. It might be. We'll see if this video does well and people like it. Maybe I'll do this for maybe the big 4 events. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But definitely let me know, what do you guys think is going to happen at WrestleMania 40? Leave that all in the comments below. And then I will be back with the part 2, the discard part of this, in a couple of days when we have all the results. Until then, I'll see you all in the next video.